have the honor of having Krista Tukiainen here from Climate Bonds. Krista, welcome.
Thank you.
Could you, in a few words, explain to the layman what it is that Climate Bonds does?
Sure. So Climate Bonds Initiative is a not-for-profit company headquartered in London but operating globally. And essentially what we try to do is help investors allocate their money to climate change related activities to help mitigate and adapt to climate change. And this work stretches across all kinds of industries, including food retail, packaging, and so on and so forth.
The equation that we're trying to solve is very soon we want to be fully recyclable. But then to reach our carbon neutral target by 2025, what we need to be is recyclable as well as from bio-based materials.
Absolutely.
So we need to replace the crude oil base. What kind of raw materials, or where do you see the raw materials coming from when they're bio-based for packaging?
I think a lot of it will be forestry and pulp and paper industry byproducts, and any other type of waste is good. The big issue is that some of the other raw materials, including sugarcane or corn, for example, they will end up cannibalizing on food production, which is a huge problem. We know that already in light of climate change and the physical impacts and how that's going to drive extreme droughts in one part of the world, and on the other side, extreme precipitation. That's going to mean that we have a massive food security issue in our hands. So we need to be able to balance that. As
the packaging industry, we're fed up because we've had the innovation capability and actually the solutions for circularity in packaging for a long time. And we feel that what we need in order to now bring the solutions to the market at an accelerated rate is an understanding and a level playing field. And we feel that legislation hasn't caught up.
I think there's kind of truth to that argument. There always is. Legislation is never the first mover in terms of pushing things forward. But what we're now seeing is these kind of regional and even global attempts to standardize and classify sustainable economic activities across all sorts of different industries and value chains. Many companies in many industries, including packaging, have more control over their value chain that they would like to admit publicly. And some of the companies that are quite profitable have also the financial leverage to make things happen and help push the market forward, for example, by adopting these sustainable finance instruments. I think that there's still more that you as a company and the industry can do to integrate vertically. So I think you should be emphasizing and investing a lot more into the end-of-life options, the recycling, the sorting, the collection, and also work more closely both with the regulators at the EU level from the finance perspective, because that's what you all care about as well. There's probably going to be a point in time where you need some type of funding, unless you're very cash rich, which at least most companies are not. So I think you need to be way bolder. Yeah. And then the other thing is communicating in an accessible way the good work that you're already doing to the end consumer.
Well, you've mentioned sorting there, and I think mechanical recycling is still something that we need to invest in much more, that we need to focus on. In terms of mechanical recycling and investments there, actually, no one's as bold as we are in packaging in Europe, because we embed a well-nigh invisible barcode by Digimark into our packaging. So what we can do is we can cover all of our packaging completely with a barcode, which according to the EU study is actually the best technology out there for sorting. So it has a sorting accuracy of 95, 96%. And these solutions, frustratingly, are still fairly slow to be adopted.
So one way that we're doing this as Climate Bonds Initiative, beyond the sort of pure green investments, we're looking at definitions for transition investments. So things that we need to make sure that we get to that sustainable, low carbon, resilient society in 2050 and beyond. The heavy industrial sectors and materials are at the top of the list, and that will include plastics as well. So I think there's way more scope to incorporate these kind of groundbreaking technologies and solutions that you've alluded to in that work, because we're trying to advocate for things that are available technologically, not necessarily the most cost competitive, but what is actually possible at this moment.